Wilson Bayly Holmes-Ovcon was founded in 1970, specialises in commercial building construction.
Interesting that this one is the largest, because this in fact was seen as one of the new kids on the block in the previous cycle. So from around the 2000s, and then it came on and started gaining a bit of momentum. It also owns an operation called Probuild in Australia, which is actually quite a significant player in the Australian market and makes about as much money there as it makes here.
Market cap, we're looking at 7.3 billion rand, PE ratio of 9.8 and a dividend yield of 3%. Now, Wayne, this is the story that has stood out in the construction space. Who would have thought that WBHO was going to be at the top of the log in terms of size?
When we talk about the other companies, you'll see it's done well on a comparative basis compared to the rest of them. When you study their earnings, at least they have more or less maintained the same earnings level over the last few years, even though their current latest set of results, earnings are going to be down. But they are certainly one of the better ones.
Paul, we've had no exposure. Let's just set that out at top.
We've owned them in the past in the hot stocks portfolio back in the trading days, many moons ago, more than a year ago probably. And we typically thought they were the best of the bunch. They do have that reputation for having good internal people. They're often picked when people have glamour projects, like the construction of the new Standard Bank head office in Rosebank, for example. Well, actually of the investment bank. So, you know, people where they know the architects have gone out on a little bit of a limb and they're going to need a partner from a construction point of view that isn't going to make a mess. Also where there are high contract pressure time problems, like the building of the Ria Via lane in Sandton, which is, you know, something which you can't have go wrong, because if it does, it'll be an absolute mess.
Looking at the share price graph there, again, relatively speaking, and this is when you stack it up against the other construction companies out there, this is not actually a bad performance.
Definitely, it's one, as I said, it's one of the better ones. But you know, when you buy a share, you've got to look at forward prospects. Now, Wilson Bayly, the order book's okay. You know, they don't cite any catastrophe looming or any major problem that they've got, but you just can't get excited about future earnings. You know, for many, many years, every budget speech and every government speech just about, we were told about how many trillions of dollars the government and their state-owned enterprises are going to spend on infrastructure. Now, this has been going on for donkey's years. Now, we know two things for sure. It's never actually materialized. And secondly, it's definitely not going to, because the government's got no more money. They're cutting back on expenditure. And the easiest thing to cut is capital expenditure rather than cutting grants or salaries. So the future outlook, unfortunately, just does not look good.
WBHO, you want to make one more point before we call it?
One more positive thing to say, and that is the Australian business is doing surprisingly well. Probuild continues to do well, and for some reason Australia continues to thrive as an economy. They've had the downturn because of their exporting of commodities, yes, but in terms of residential property development and commercial work and industrial stuff, and Brisbane and Sydney and Melbourne and all those cities rather, have been booming. So I don't know. I mean, the Probuild side of the business actually looks quite good. For me, definitely the star performer.
Hot or not?
No, I'm afraid I can't call it hot right now. No easy or obvious catalyst, but for me, probably the quality player in this space.
Mr. McCurry, hot or not?
Unfortunately not.